Right Night is a talk show with published authors, writers, and content creators discussing both the creative and technical sides of writing, as well as the industry surrounding it, from novels to screenplays to comics and more. And now, here's your host, author Travis I. Sivart.
Oh, that's interesting. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Right Night. It is Saturday, March 28th. I am Travis Sivart, author of Harbinger, and currently working on Book 2 of Portals. And I am drinking a Jameson's Cold Brew, so it's a whiskey coffee. That's interesting. Now, for any of you looking at the screen, wait, what? Give me a second. I'll be fixing the screen up in just a moment. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to let everybody else introduce themselves. I'm just going to shout out. I don't even know who's that. Michael, we'll start with you, sir.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name's Michael Thompson. I'm an author and illustrator. I write all sorts of fiction, and today is the anniversary of Winslow Hoffner's Incredible Encounters. It's a folkloric fantasy on the high seas about cryptids, sea monsters, and epic urban legends a few have beheld. But there's one man who's seen them all, Winslow Hoffner, the gallant fisherman. And yeah, so I'm very excited. I just put up the ebook recently, and after it processes, it should be linked with the paperback. So very excited.
Very good. Congratulations on that year. Tara?
Hey, I'm Tara Moeller, editor at Dream Punk Press, and also an author. And please check out the website. It's brand new right now. We've got some new stuff up. I'd love to have some visitors.
There we go. And Aaron?
Hi, I'm Aaron Kennedy. I am a technical writer, PhD candidate, and author of the Ships of Valor book series, with Persona non grata being the first book. I'm currently working on Politicus, the second book in the series, as well as a military-related article called "Are We Adequately Teaching Running?"
Interesting. And last but not least, Aaron, make sure you do post your own link also. No
Yes,
showing favoritism to everybody else and not yourself. And last but not least, we have Tempe.
Hi, I'm Tempe Wade. I'm the author of the Timely Revolution book series. It's a fun, continuous Revolutionary War time travel adventure series. Books 1 through 4 are out. Books 5 and 6 will be out this year. Books 7 and 8 will be out next year, and I'm still writing book 9. So.
Very good.
Nice.
Okay, now before we really get as people's favorites, shout out to them. Make sure you greet your people in the chats. It's and while I fix this, I do want to say to everybody, the world is still going crazy, and we're experiencing things in the world that's apparently upsetting to my cat behind me, from what I can hear. So be careful out there and take care of yourself and be smart about things. Remember, in a world gone crazy, a little peace goes a long way, not just for you, but for the people around you. So take care of yourself and take care of others by taking care of yourself. You can't help the whole world if you don't treat yourself right. So, that's my message for today. But thank you for joining us, everybody. Appreciate that. I am almost done rearranging the screen. Hey, there's Tracy and Princess Shira and all our other favorites.
Hi, guys.
So, for our first opening creative hour, we are talking about... Hold on, Travis got to look because Travis is doing other things. Creative curses. So there's a couple directions we can go in this, and I need Andrea to yell from the other room. I think she just left and can't hear me. That example that I was telling you guys before we got on air. Yeah, she left the room. Why does she always got to leave the room when I need to get that info from her? Basically what I'm looking at is ways to swear in the writing, whether you swear or not in writing, where it takes it away from the normal, usual type of swearing and makes it a little more unique, a little more you or your character or whatever. So last week, I think it was last week, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Michael, as we discuss this during the show, discussing something else, threw out a great one that he heard. I don't even... Oh, thank you, Chris.
Pinch
Appreciate
knocker.
that.
Carbon Shield X100.
So, yeah, where'd you hear that first there, Mike?
Pitch knocker. That was a misunderstanding over the phone with my mom. Because we always knock on wood, so we don't jinx anything.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't near any wood. She was on the phone with me. She said, "Oh, knock on wood for me. Be my pitch knocker." And and I was like, "What does that mean?" And she was referencing like pinch thrower in baseball.
It's pinch hitting.
But I misheard it as pinch hitting.
Yeah.
I didn't absorb the
Look at
term.
that sports nerd. Just go everywhere.
Yeah. but yeah, so then I thought, I was like, that sounds like a great fake curse. Maybe I can use that in something. Pitch knocker. It sounds so bad. It sounds so insulting.
Real quick, if I can interrupt, I see Cold Brew Science, one of our viewers, popped on there. And by the way, if anybody's listening to this after the fact via the podcast, we do stream live every Saturday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. And you can chat with us live in the stream at twitch.tv/Travis Tavern Talk. But Cold Brew Science, I want to show you this. I don't know if you saw this. I got a little sample here. Well, thank you, Tracy, showing me your bits.
Woohoo!
Always love to see
Tracy
those.
Tracy is here cheered. X100.
But, Cold Brew Science, there's Jameson Cold Brew. I'm sorry, this camera. That I picked up to try today. So it's... What's that, Tara?
Sorry, cat.
Ah, gotcha. But anyhow, okay, back to that. Hey, Andrea?
Yeah.
What's that great swear word mix-up thing?
Mother shit.
Ah, mother shitter. Instead of, and by the way, for anybody who doesn't know, we generally keep the show PG-13, but tonight discussing swearing, there will be swearing involved in this particular episode. If that's an issue for you, tune in about 45 minutes when we go into the second part of the show instead. If it's not an issue for you, well, it does happen frequently, most places. But yeah, coming up with something like a different way of saying something. So instead of saying motherfucker, you might say mother shitter, which is just kind of fun, stupid, mixed up way, but it still makes sense. Well, not logically, but hopefully not logically. Well, whatever you're into. John, good to see you, man. So, before I go on, I want to make sure, is there any odd echo on my microphone? If one of the viewers could let me know if there is, just say yes, echo, and I'll correct that. If there's not, then nobody type anything about it and we won't worry about it. There's been an update 2 weeks ago that's been creating this issue, and I'm hoping it's fixed at this point. So, who real quick, I just want to hear each of your views on swearing in your writing. And the ins and outs, ifs and whys, and method and mode you like. And then I'll voice my opinion on this. Aaron, let's start with you and we'll go around.
Okay. Swearing's a tool. You use it where it's appropriate, you don't use it where it's not appropriate. Persona non grata has 0 swear words in it, but the narrator uses terms like Einstein's ghost, which would be the equivalent of son of a bitch.
Now, is that because military people don't swear at all?
No, that is not true at all. I put it in there because I wanted it set in the future, and I figure, like everything else, swears evolve with time, so it's shifting with the times. It's more cultural than anything else, because you want to make swears culturally appropriate for what they are. And I remember this going back to a book called Gorky Park. They made a movie of it in 1983. And the main character, Arkady, knew the guy was not Russian because he said son of a bitch in Russian instead of fuck your mother, which would be the equivalent swear phrase. Well, no, that's how he described it.
Makes sense.
Like, oh, okay. Like, words we say, and anybody that's not studied Spanish but been around construction workers, you'll hear Spanish swear words, whether you're shaded like me or shaded like anybody else. And
Wait, are you
it's
shaded
one
different
of,
from the rest of us? You're not a pale motherfucker like me? I'm
well,
sorry,
no, no, no,
mother
no, I'm
shitter?
sorry, like other people, not necessarily the group that we have gathered here today.
Oh, so less of a cracker pack.
Correct, sir. And hey, you can't say that word. That's our word. Oh, wait, never mind.
But okay, quick tangent. I'm sorry. I'm tired. It's been a long week, so tangents are probably going to happen. I was at work earlier this week, and I work with predominantly women and predominantly women of color. And one of them stood up, and I haven't worked with this group for a while. She's like, Travis, I'm so glad you're black. And I said, what did you just say? Did you just say I'm black? And she's like, oh, I meant back. I'm like, no, 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 no. Because I'll take it. Because white people got a stick up their ass. And yeah, I definitely had an appreciative audience for such a comment there. I'm like, oh no, this is much more relaxed of a thing. See, there we go. Saltine Americans.
Well, and okay, since you work at Amazon, here's a quick tangent on that one. All right. Apparently, when the Alexas and the Series and all that first came up, this parrot would mimic its owner's voice, and he got the tone right to where he could order things, and he ordered a pallet of crackers.
Did he really?
Yes.
That is
Wow.
a clever, clever bird.
All he wants a cracker.
You know what? I'm going to so knock us back into the topic here because Princess Shira is actually helping me do that. And thank you, Princess. Not that you need to, but whatever. She says, I've had my fair share of concern for my book, Inglorious Ink. Most of the narrative does have cursing in it as a reflection of the surroundings, but I didn't want to make an overkill of any fucks to be inserted like a Martin Scorsese movie. It's a balance. It has to be a balance as opposed to shock value. But that's just what little old me thinks, which, by the way, Princess, please feel free to type the adult word if you're inclined. If you're not inclined, please feel free to censor yourself if you want. It is the tavern. It is an adult place. There is a warning on the door when people come in. But because of the writing audiences, on tonight, we try, like I said, we aim for PG-13 on Right Night. But we can break that rule. Tara, how do you feel about it? What's your methodology on this?
Well, I'm going to speak about this as an editor because I have edited middle grade, I have edited YA, and then I've also edited adult, books that are for a more mature audience.
A quick question on that one for you. Friggin', what's the clear or what's the delineation there? Because I know I get confused on it all the time.
Okay, so middle grade is like up until age 12.
Okay.
YA is 12, 13 through 19. Then anything older than that, so 18, 19 and above, is mature or for adult.
Okay.
But there's flexibility there because you also have, what would be appropriate for a 13-year-old, which is YA, is obviously very different than what you could put in a book that is specifically being targeted for 17 and 18-year-olds. Mm-hmm. Not just with swear words, but with other content as well. Yeah. But from that perspective, a lot of times if you have books for those older teens, there's going to be swear words in them. Kids swear at that age, and they tend to swear a lot. My kid is now 23, but I remember when they hit 16 and, swore for the first time in front of me, and I'm like, you're allowed to do that. You're 16 now. Go ahead. But it's different. And, when you're looking at from the editing perspective and you're looking at something specifically for those younger teens or middle grade, I think that's when you really want the creative swearing in there because kids swear. I mean, I'm
and they do it poorly.
Probably use the same terminology as their sailor dads or their sailor moms. So they use it, but you can't put it in their book because guess who's buying that book?
Mom and Dad.
And Dad are not going to appreciate that in the book. So that's a great place to use something like fairy nuggets or something comical. It's funny, and it's a little bit more creative than just fudge, or like
Right in the biscuits.
exactly. And then of course once you hit adult books, it's anything goes. All at that point, it really does depend on your character. Is this a character, and make it part of the character, and that it's consistent for the character. You have, a character who only swears in the most extreme of circumstances, maintain that. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a character that swears if it's for an adult. If it's for an adult audience, just be consistent with it.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Creativity always works though, because then it adds that humor and that extra aspect to it.
Yeah.
Wait, what is it? When you say the word over and over and over again, it loses all its impact. There's a psychological effect to that.
Yeah.
And then something I ran into when I was writing was friggin', as I was typing things out, the overuse of certain words. And there were even instances where I only used a phrase or a word like twice in a chapter, and people were calling it out like, oh, it's stuck in their head. So like, hey, you use this a lot, and then you do the find and replacing. You're like, I used it like 4 times, maybe. Yeah.
There's a turn of phrase in The Expanse that the authors use, and it's something like that because I've never heard it anywhere else, and I'm like, they must be Canadian or something, because it's not a UK affectation, but it's not American. It's somewhere English, but it's just a little different, a little wrong, and I've never heard it anywhere else except in this book. And I'm like, so when it stands out that they're using it because it sounds similar to something I want to use or have used or have heard, but not. What about you, Michael? What about how you do yours considering your age group and subject matter?
Yeah, most of my books tend to be for younger readers. Winslow's probably aimed at is my oldest aim for in terms of readership, and there is some light cursing in Winslow, but interestingly enough, it comes from the other characters. It doesn't come from Winslow.
Can you define light cursing in this case?
Yeah, like damn it, things like that.
So basically stuff you can hear at 4 o'clock, probably even like less, on TV.
14
okay.
Stuff. And, but it's kind of interesting. Winslow is an interesting character to me, and I didn't realize it as I was writing it. I realized it upon reflection of what I wrote, that he never curses, and he doesn't drink either, and so he neither drinks nor curses like a sailor. Which is so interesting.
Does he smoke, chew, spit, scratch himself weirdly? Anything?
What was that?
Does he smoke, chew, spit, scratch himself in weird places? Does he have any weird quirks?
He's got all sorts of habits, but his habits are like he drinks root beer, and then in terms of his verbal habits, he says things like dagnabbit and consarn, and he says flippin' a lot instead of the F word. So that was kind of interesting. So those are Winslow's creative curses. And I had other characters who spoke other languages. I have a Russian character in Winslow named Conrad, and I spoke to my friend who is Russian and asked him. I ran by because I did some research on popular Russian curses, and what's interesting, a lot of them are animal related. So it's the translations of like goat and pig are really popular. And so I liked the one for pig for this particular part. So svinya was what he was saying. And so I asked him, I said, is this right? Am I using this correctly? He's like, yeah, that's correct. I like goat better personally. I say goat all the time, whatever goat was.
Well, the nice thing about svinya is it's translatable.
Yeah, it sounds like swine,
right.
So that's
right.
kind of why.
Yeah, anybody with a reasonable vocabulary, whether it's visually or out loud, they're going to make the association and go, I think I speak Russian now. And what about you, Tempe?
I use adult language a lot in my book. Yeah, about as much as I use it in real life, honestly. Uh, and I use it quite a bit in real life. So, yeah, my character walks around a lot saying, "Oh, for fuck's sake, what is this?" Because it's a constant battle of something that's on the horizon that's unexpected. But yeah, I use quite a bit. I probably use more than all of you combined.
Now,
Well, I mean, for those
swearing,
that don't know, oh, go ahead.
swearing historically, Tempe, was different. Like in the late 1600s to late 1700s, fuck wasn't what it is now.
Right.
So, and I'm not sure exactly where, I want to say it existed, but it hadn't quite gotten to where it is right now. So, are you using colloquialisms of the colonial times, or are you using modern? And how do the characters react between the two?
Most of mine is from the character that's from the 20th and 21st century that's thrown back in time. So of course she's dropping the F bomb and shit and everything else on it. And then the rest of the characters kind of know, or they come to know, that she is from that time, so they don't bat an eyelash. Now, when they're using it from 18th century terms, they don't say fuck, they say the Scottish guys say feck, F-E-C-K, and they use shite instead of shit, and they use cock instead of dick. So yeah, I kind of change it up a little bit there, but she's starting to rub off on them at some point, so they're picking up the 21st century words as well.
So
So
That's kind of
now
cool.
what's
yeah.
that, Michael?
I just said that's cool.
Yeah.
That the language getting shared back in time. I think that's a neat concept.
Well, that's why we have it
It's
now,
not
because of her.
everywhere.
That's right. A comment here from Princess says, I do feel like some children can handle the cuss words nowadays than earlier in the years. I remember when I saw my first cuss word in a series of unfortunate events, I took it in stride because it was just one word. It established a moment, not just throw it out there and shock younger readers. It's a gamble, but it makes it mature in a good way, not a bad way to make the parents mad. Here's what I'll tell you. When I was coming up, we didn't have middle grade books. You kind of went from children's books to you had a couple, not Goosebumps, but Goosebump level books.
Yeah.
And then you went straight to adult novels. There was no young adult. It didn't exist. Or as if it did, it wasn't its own thing. It was like, well, it's not really adult. It's not really the middle. Maybe they did have middle readers. Tara, Aaron, do you guys remember? Tempe's too young.
So Heinlein had a series of young adult books, and some of the books that he did after that were friggin' definitely middle grade.
See, where the author aimed versus where the industry was are two different things.
Oh, no, his were, he had the short, like, 100-page books, like 80 to 100-page books that were definitely aimed for the young adult
Right.
and middle grade, and then he had his big friggin' adult books as
But
well.
what I'm
and they were
saying,
kinda interspersed.
what the author intended doesn't mean there was a place in the industry for it. Like, I was not raised hearing the term young adult. You didn't have young adult books. You had, now, if you picked up Spell Singer by, well, really anything Alan Dean Foster, he wrote simplistically. And it was a 6th grade reading level, and people felt like they were reading an adult novel, or a grown-up novel, I should say, but it wasn't. So John says we had stone tablets. Writing was a lot harder. And,
That was the term I was looking for. It's the juveniles, Heinlein's juveniles, and they were actually, when his publisher did that.
yeah, then again, we also had Choose Your Own Adventure, which were definitely that ish.
Right.
That transition, that in-between thing. But for me, swearing all depends on the story. It all depends on the characters. And you can have a character, as you guys have already expressed, it doesn't swear at all. But there is swearing in the book around them. So it's a matter of whether the story has it versus a character, first and foremost. But portals, which is people from the modern world going into the medieval fantasy world, I definitely wanted it peppered with the modern overuse. So it is numbing. It doesn't have that impact. It is a regular word. Just like saying, really? Or no kidding. to throw the F-bomb or whatever phrase. I didn't want it to jar the reader. Matter of fact, I've read a book like that before I wrote this book, and I actually found it comforting to hear that many swear words. It felt like I was in my element. It was like, this could be a guy I hang out with. And that's how I felt about the swearing. Now, there's other places where if you use it very sparingly, it definitely is a little splash of cold water, a little wake-up call for everyone. Silver and Smith, I think I only have damn or hell once or twice through the whole book. Each. It's not used very much, or might be bastard. And I did that very consciously, just because I wanted this to be something on the Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean level, which you feel like both of them have sworn at some point in time. But they haven't really more than that. And then, of course, other books that I write follow slightly different rules. I'm trying to think of, Journal of a Stranger. He swears, but it's only occasionally, and he will use the big words, just not often. More as an emphasis. So, I think it's very much on mood, writer, character, story, etc. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's have some fun. Because I want to write down a list of crazy cuss words or swear phrases that are not actually, even if they are dirty words, like mother shitter. That is fucking hilarious to me. That is great. So clever, so much fun, put well together. Because, I would be saying something like, oh, you're a dick shitter, which is just like a 12-year-old learning to swear. And that's where my creative swearing kicks in. I'm on the 12-year-old level. I have to follow somebody else's lead on this. And I know each of you are creative. And we mentioned Pitch Knocker earlier, which is absolutely clean, but sounds filthy.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to sit back and hush and open the conversation wide open here. And throw out some ideas for some good... Okay, Chris says twat waffle, which is pretty common.
I bet Tempe has some great Faye stuff that she can put in.
Tempe?
Well, yeah. Like I said, I just flat out use the words. But when we were in like middle school and coming up, God dog it instead of, God damn it, so was a big one that everyone used around their parents. Now, me personally, I'm the one who, my kids had to learn somewhere. Why not from mom?
That was my philosophy, and my mother had the same philosophy, so, yeah.
Yeah, and I still, when my 17-year-old son curses in front of me, I still, do a double take, and I'm like, okay. Just because I'm not used to hearing it come from him. But he's getting more comfortable around me doing it. But, son of a biscuit eater was always one of the ones coming up through high school. You kind of said that in front of your parents instead of son of a bitch.
So make up some new ones, Tempe. I want to hear some
I know.
new creative,
instead
crazy.
Instead of fin-fade fuckery, it could be fin-fade fudgery, which would be a whole different world.
It does have a different feel, doesn't it?
No. Set the novel with Ben running a fudge shop.
Fudgery, that's right. With prostitutes in the back. Making chocolate.
In the back is a double meaning in that phrase right there.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's and Mike, you're the youngest one of the group. I'm sure they go through generational spells. What were yours coming up?
Oh, what were mine? Our replacements. I always came up with my own replacements, like mother, father, sister, brother, and I used to say "what the earth" instead of "what the hell" for some reason. A lot. I don't know. I thought that was funny. I'm remembering in Chicken Boy 4, there was a funny swear replacement. And we had in college. My friends and I, when you're around your friends, you swear more. And when we were in these public events, we had this code word, like if we were near kids to not swear. So, because Mason used to put on these big, we had this big pagoda burning thing. It was on the news, and And during the pagoda burning, there were a bunch of kids that had come to the pond, and so we came up with this code to say to each other whenever we were near kids to make sure that we were clean, and it was Precious Penguin. But they didn't follow the rules a lot of the time. They'd say Precious Penguin, and then they were like, oh, I cussed, and then they would start cursing more. And then I had one friend who was like, Precious effing Penguin, screamed, and then there was this one little kid by the pond going, like, I was like, oh no, this is bad. In Chicken Boy, I had this funny bit. I have this one character named Curly, and the joke with Curly is he's always getting eaten, but he's like he's like the school do-gooder. Like he's always like there to help his friends, and he's always getting like punished for it by the universe.
No good act goes unpunished.
I know. So he appears just randomly at the end of the book in this banana suit. And he's like, and he mentions something during the dialogue, and they're like, when did you get here? He's like, I've been here the whole time. And then he gets mad. He gets really mad that he's constantly being taken for granted. And he's like, well, shucks, pardon my language, guys, but golly gosh darn heck, I feel like I'm always on the sidelines. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I'm going to read a couple comments here. Princess Shira says, piss shit, shit muffin, basic baby cuss words. Your baby has a foul fucking mouth. John says squirt sausage, which just makes me think of all the creative ways the porn and erotica industry phrases.
That squirt sausage on me, baby.
Phrases things. And then Dragon Flighter, good to see a dragon, says if there's a heavens no and a hell yes, does that mean there's a purgatory maybe? So there's a comment. So Tara, do you have some creative phrasings? I want to make up new words. I want stuff I can totally rip off from you guys and steal and put them in like Silver and Smith where people go, he just swore, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Help me brainstorm. What, Aaron?
Buy the hammer, or things like that. What was it? Jordan did a bunch of ones like that where phrased.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like swearing. Just like if you say
No, it
Einstein's
doesn't.
ghost, it doesn't feel like you just swore. Cold Brew says, I like wank spanking. Fuck plunger.
Well,
Cold Brew,
everybody
please
does.
clarify if you like the activity or the words.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
because it's two different things. So Tara, I see it's on the tip of you're about to give me the most creative, incredible, amusing turn of phrase. Go.
Chicken flocker.
Chicken
Sounds
fluffer
great.
or
Yes.
plucker?
Flocker. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Or plucker. Could do
good.
plucker.
Flocker.
Yeah.
Flocker.
Uh-huh. Okay. Aaron, you got any clever ones?
You got what is it? Pheasant flocker.
Pheasant plucker.
Or pheasant flocker.
That's the song on the right there, yeah.
I like the ones that they used in The Good Place. You got your ash hole, your bench, shirt, fork. Just because it's one of those, you know they're swearing, and it goes back to that 1980s as seen on TV,
Yeah.
the movie that was replacing. They just kind of they do the quick replacement. And you still see their mouth moving on the real thing, and it amuses the hell out of me. Where you
That was some good world building for that show when they wanted to curse, but
Yep.
no matter what, it came out as a PG word.
yes.
It's really clever.
And they still do it, like on TNT. I'll have a movie on, and they'll go in the spy with Melissa McCarthy because she curses like a sailor in it, and they'll go in and dub it.
Oh yeah, the dubbing.
Hilarious.
Oh, I love the dubbing.
Biggest dubbing that you've ever heard on like a TV movie.
Yeah, it's Spy is one of those, they do it a lot, and if they throw a Quentin Tarantino out, they're going through it like crazy, just dubbing it.
There was a crazy one for Snakes on a Plane. Does anyone remember what it was? What was it? It's famous.
I'm sick and tired of these motherforking snakes on this motherforking plane.
Well, have been, but yeah, they flipped it around, and sometimes they get the actual actors in to dub themselves, and they think it's ridiculous, so they put in like the most ridiculous possible words.
So I
And
guess
it's
you could
escaped
do
me.
like instead of motherfucking, you could do father mucking, which we've all. I think we've done that.
It was something like flim flam, like it was like just the funniest possible choices.
Okay,
Samuel L. Jackson dub for anything is just hilarious.
we've
Yeah.
got the quote from the movie. Cold Brew Science says, and then backed up by Dragonflighter. I'm tired of these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
That's the one. It's brilliant.
That's great.
So,
Yeah, that's good.
one of the great ones that I ran into was PS238. It's by the same guy that did Nodwick. It's a school for
Nodwick.
gifted super children. One of the characters swears like a sailor, so they implant what's called a Barry Ween chip in him. So that every time he tries to swear, it replaces it. If it gets longer, he goes into show tunes and things like that. Because they don't want him to swear in a kid's thing, but you realize, oh yeah, he's just swearing.
Oh, do you remember Horrible Bosses?
Yeah.
Haven't
Yeah.
seen it, but I want to.
He's gonna throw us over the barrel and show us the 50 states. I don't think that's a term. It's definitely a term.
You
And then
can't
people
see.
not use it. It's really funny. That was a good one.
It's by the way, Princess has questioned that it might be monkey flying plane instead of monkey fighting or Monday to Friday.
I remember. I think Monday to Friday. That's either way. Monday to Friday is really funny.
I wrote them down. I also wrote down the fuzzy pickle thing because that's not bad. It's definitely got imagery, but it's clean. Maybe you go, why don't you go suck a fuzzy pickle?
Did anyone remember the movie The Last Action Hero?
Oh, yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things they did was his boss, the captain of the police, as he's yelling at him, they went full on trope and said, okay, we're gonna do the replacement words for the entire thing, and it was like cherry nipples and things like that, and they're just rattling him off, and he never swears. It's like, what? And they go, oh yeah, the movie's PG-13, and just off with it.
Oh, dude, the end of Christmas Vacation, when he's losing it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
I might have to go watch that again and find out.
Yeah, he has a whole, like, he goes on a tirade, and it's all super creative stuff. I think it's all improv, too.
Is it PG-13 or is it just straight up swearing?
I mean, I remember there being some really bad stuff in there.
I do too.
I can't imagine that Christmas Vacation is more than PG-13, but
Oh no, it was rated R.
was.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's such a good film.
PG-13.
Is it really? You just checked?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's certainly. I remember there was. And that could just be a testament to like how good these replacement curses are because they hit pretty hard in that tirade, and it was really funny.
Here's one from Andrea Cockwomble. And
Cock wobbler.
yeah. And Princess says, has anyone ever seen Roadhouse on the TV dub? It's hysterical.
Oh, I got one. Y'all ever watch Kitchen Nightmares or anything with Gordon Ramsay?
Yes.
Gordon Ramsay in general calls people a donut all the time. And it just sounds so mean.
Listen here, you donut.
And it's just great. What a joy.
Oh well, when he calls people cows or friggin' donkeys, it's
Have you seen that where he takes these 2 slices of bread, he puts it against one of his apprentices' heads, and he says, "What are you?" And she's like, "I'm an idiot sandwich." Hilarious.
Well, if you're gonna do it, I mean, you want the impact, or we want to desensitize, or we want the impact. I remember the old Marvel comics where they used Grolix, the expletives in there, to where you had certain characters that did swear. The Punisher swore, Wolverine swore, Spider-Man almost never swore, but when those popped up, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they never actually say the words.
Yeah, it depends on the character a lot, and it can, if you're inventing your own curses, then it could be a cool way to world build, or a cool way to sort of expose more about the character and where they come from. Like I remember in World of the Orb, I had a creature from the Darklands that was spying on some of the main characters, and when he was caught, he was calling them all sorts of fake slurs like Sunseekers and Red Bloods, because in the Darklands they have like ink-colored blood, all the creatures. So it's a cool way to build up your world.
Oh, what was it? Forget. I mean, the great insult aspects of that. What was it? Scrubs. When they're introducing one character and she just says eyebrows, and the other character just busts into tears.
Yeah.
Hit on the thing I'm most worried about.
Yeah, it was that was Elliot's. Elliot was who's being talked to, and then the character was like some type of therapist. Oh, it was what's the name of that actress? She was in Austin Powers, the second one.
Oh,
Elizabeth?
That's who.
No, the other one.
Heather
Blonde.
Graham.
Heather
Yes.
Graham, yes.
Yep.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah, she was a therapist character or
Michael,
something.
I'd move your mic down just a little bit. When you raise your volume, it really pops high. So that should make much better. Thank you. Oh, I'll find out next time you get excited.
All right.
yeah, you will.
And rub your mic for me real quick, Mike. Yeah, that's not even the one you're using. You might want to check that.
Aha! Discovered.
That would explain it. I thought it was that one earlier. But anyhow. So, what I've got here is I'm making up a list, because with the new Portals one, I'm introducing a new character. And I need a few very specific things for him. I'm thinking it'd be great if he doesn't swear, because he's a super nice guy. This is actually his flaw. We all know these people. We might even be the people who are so nice we always get shit on and taken advantage of, and we just continue to be nice. And then eventually we snap and we get respect for 3 months, and then we go back to being nice and it turns back to what it was. So I think things like yelling, pheasant plucker and mother muffin and...
Mother muffin.
Yeah, I just wrote that one down. It sounded good in my head.
Oh, what was it? Cake Sniffer from Lemony Snicket. The one little perfect girl. She called everybody cake sniffers.
Well, I don't want to steal it directly
Right.
from another book. I don't mind, stealing... Because I have one character that quotes movies and memes, and that's fine to steal something from Sam Jackson.
Oh,
For that
right,
character.
No.
But yeah.
So, does this guy read comics, or... Because I was just thinking when we were talking about, how in the comics they would use the symbols, and I was thinking something like pound sand, but it would be like, oh, go pound signs, and you've got that
I like
double
that.
there, where you've got something like pound stands, which everyone would recognize, but if you're into comics, knowing, it would imply a harder swear word was just saying, the word pound signs, so...
Shove it up your ampersand.
There you go.
That's good.
Yeah, nice.
Take that tilde and shove it.
Yeah.
Okay, you're an asterisk.
Yeah. Well, what was the other one we had? Hold on, I got it written down on the topic list. Not Verbolton, not Verbugger. Interrobang. Go interrobang yourself.
Bang.
Mike, rub your mic again, Michael.
Did it work?
Nope.
I'm just gonna.
It's all good.
I'm gonna try without the headset.
Okay. Everybody act like you can't hear him. Took off your headset. We can't hear you.
All right. Is that okay? Testing.
Can't hear you since you took off your headset.
Oh no.
No, I'm totally messing with you. We hear you fine. You're fine.
Oh man. I'm getting bullied.
Quiet down, Snowflake. Or we'll melt you.
Actually, my ears can breathe. May return that thing.
which is
We
not
need to get you
creepy.
back to biology, sir.
Speaking
There
of
you go. There's
breathing,
another, you insult somebody calling them a mouth breather, you should call them an ear breather instead, like
Ear breather. Yeah.
ear breather.
Ear breather.
You need to carry around a plant so that you refresh the oxygen you're burning with us.
You need to breathe. What a nerd.
Well, I mean,
What a dork.
well, remember the origins of Pirates of the Caribbean, Monkey Island, where they had insult sword fighting. You fight like a dairy farmer. Oh, fitting. You freaking fight like a cow.
Wasn't there like Monty Python stuff like that too? Like
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
Smells of what was it? Your mother is a something, and your father smells of elderberries or
That
something.
was
Your
from
mother was
Monty-
a hamster and your father smelled of elderberry.
Yeah, there you go.
That was from
That's a
Monty
light-
Python and the Holy Grail, which was early to mid 70s. I want to say Pirates of the Caribbean, Aaron, came around about in the mid 60s as the ride in Disneyland and later in Disney World.
Oh, absolutely.
But you're
Yeah,
saying it's based
Monkey
after.
Island came out in the 80s, and then if you take a look at the movie, it's friggin' Guybrush LeChuck as friggin' Captain Jack Sparrow.
I've never heard of Monkey Island.
Oh, goodness.
I haven't either, so.
Oh,
No, it's an old parser game.
I feel like I've
Um,
heard the name, but
But yeah, it's kind of like when Disney started doing all their ride-based movies, whether it was the Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean came out first, and nobody was expecting it to make any money. They came up with a plot, but Disney owned not Steven Spielberg, the other one, George Lucas's LucasArts, the film, or not the film company, the game company at that point. So they just flagrantly stole this parody pirate game and turned it into the movie.
oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Hmm.
They should have done it for the fourth
Galaxy
movie because, man, that was lacking something.
What's that?
They should have done it for the fourth movie because that was definitely lacking something.
I haven't even. Or no, I did see the fourth movie.
You
I
just
That's
did
the
don't-
mermaid one, right?
I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That was the one with
Mermaid-
Selma Hayek in it.
Stranger Tides.
Yeah.
Yes.
It just got to a point where I'm like, you need to quit, and then they're like, and we got another one, and I'm like, well, good for you.
Hey, it was still better than what was it? Lands of Tomorrow or the Tomorrow one? Tomorrow World.
Oh.
Tomorrow World.
Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how good it was.
I didn't see that one.
You're lucky.
Didn't miss much.
It wasn't bad. It's just I don't remember much about it besides they had a pin.
Hey,
Yeah.
I think that was one of those ones that they did a lot of great stuff, and then they edited it down to the point where it
There
wasn't
was
good
nothing
anymore.
left. Yeah.
You could be right because it felt like a decent concept. It felt like they weren't sure they wanted a kids movie or a science movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because of that, they dumbed it down, and because of that, you lost a lot. And why can't you give
Yeah,
kids
they
and it?
dumbed it down. They didn't do that 2 or 3 different levels where adults could still
Right.
get that deeper little bit going on, and so
And that's actually
yeah,
a good point
it's
with
enough for kids to be
with
interested in it.
swearing also. Let me tell you about swearing in a book. Use it for a reason. Whether,
Yeah.
and we kind of touched on this, but to reiterate, swearing has to be good on multiple levels. Yes, it's a shock value, but if you use it all the time, it loses shock value, which means it has to have a different value. Whether it's a character defining trait or a culturally defining trait. You know, for example, if you're going to write a military based book, swearing probably should be a regular part of the dialogue.
Or you phase over to you acknowledge that it's happening, and then just don't repeat it.
Yes.
Right. Which there are ways to swear without ever swearing. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
you can say, and they went off in a tirade like an angry sailor, creating new swear phrases that the other person never heard. And you can actually, so you can have a character who swears throughout a whole book without ever actually typing any expletives.
Yep.
It's a bit of a cheater, but I think it works great for younger reader books where you're worried about upsetting the purchaser. Which, by the way, for those of you that are worried about upsetting the parents who are buying the book for the younger kids, bottom line, if the kid's a reader, the kid's going to read past their level anyway, and they're going to buy the books with the swear words because they want the story. Because nowadays with the internet, if your child is not running across swear words, that's incredible. Just write a book about that. Can tell us how that happened. Because,
Yeah, and off on a little bit of a tangent, I have parents that come to my table and they'll flip through the book and they'll say, "Oh, my 16-year-old daughter would probably like this," and I'm like, "No, please don't buy this for your 16-year-old daughter." And I'm like, "There's adult stuff, there's adult language, there's adult situations," and they're like, "Oh no, she'll be fine with it," and I'm like, "Oh my god."
What the hell are you doing? Don't kill a sale. She will absolutely love this book. I remember when I was 16, I would have loved this book.
Yeah.
Right,
I was one of the
good
parents.
athlete, yes, but I'm very much the one going, maybe not, just because I am a mom.
Tempe,
Like,
what I'd recommend you do for that one is a blend between what Aaron just said and what you're doing. Go, well, that's your choice as a parent. That is enough of a clue for a cautious parent. Go, what's that mean? But for the parent that's going to do what they want to do anyway, and you're not going to tell them what to do, you make a sale.
Right.
So that's up to you as a parent. That opens up the
Right.
conversation and dialogue that if they go, what's in here that might not... Yeah.
I always get concerned by the parents that don't go, "Well, what are you referring to?" They're like, "Oh, it's fine." I'm like, okay,
How many children... Go ahead, Tara.
If they have a 16-year-old who's already reading other mature novels, and something that I think you could do is say, well, what else do they read? And
Right.
if the parent rattles off 2 or 3 titles that are definitely in the same maturity level as the Timely Revolution series, I think you're good to go. Because I've run into that a couple times with parents coming out, "Oh, my kid loves werewolves." I'm like, no, some of the stuff in this werewolf anthology is mature. You had to do some editing in there. And then there's that conversation, well, what is your kid reading? And then they're like, well, they're this and this. I'm like, yeah, this is not the anthology for them. If they say, yeah, they read some, if they're telling me that they are reading some mature stuff, and then I just kind of say, well, how are you with homosexuality? And if they're good with it, I'm like, yeah, go ahead, buy it for them. Because there is shades of that in that anthology. But, yeah, sometimes there's that balance between you don't want to write too much above what parents are going to want for their kids when you're writing for kids or for young adults, but at the same time, you've got to write what the kids are going to want to read too.
Oh, sorry, Aaron.
Well,
I had Go ahead.
I was just going to say, here's the simple question. Hey, what did you think of the True Blood series? You and the kids enjoy that? And they go, yes. Here's the book for you. And they go, what's that? No, let's move you over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had issues when my 82-year-old mother read it. I was like nervous for days, going, I kept waiting for the phone call.
But she's never had sex.
Well, and then cause she's like, my mother's is a church-going lady, and so then I found out she was giving it to her church-going lady friends, and I was getting calls from them, and they were talking about, I had Sunday school class over, and I threw that book open right there and said, y'all need to read this, and I'm like,
What was it? The movie Book Club, where the old ladies are reading 50 Shades of Grey together.
yes.
Something else you need to remember about younger readers. I have had friends who brag about their children watching on television, the true crime and dissection shows, CSI and stuff like that, since they're 8, or they've been playing Grand Theft Auto since they're 8. These kids are exposed to way more than what any of us are going to put in our worst books. And the parents are bragging about it. Your stuff is a step down. Couple comments, and I want closing thoughts on this topic before we hit the top of the hour. John says, you should insult them first and ask them if they can read.
That was funny.
In reference to the parents buying the books. And he also says, in a reference to what Tara says, homosexuality, what does that taste like? So, do we have any closing thoughts on the topic of creative curses? Michael?
Oh, this was a lot of fun. I think going off of what was just said, most parents I do think are okay with it. I'm overly cautious because like Winslow's like very clean and family friendly, but you know there is like one or two damn words.
Mm-hmm.
And so I warned them, and they're like what's the word? And then I'm like damn, and they're like, oh, that's nothing. and then they point to their 7-year-olds. They're like, he's heard worse, and then the kid's like, all right. So
What about you, Aaron?
My big thing is you don't want to create that. If you're going to swear, or make sure it has purpose, but don't create a pattern where people are going to lose their mind on it. Like Robert Jordan's the patting of the skirt, or tapping down his skirt and pulling her braid and stuff like that, because it's going to become a meme of, oh yeah, he just swears, or he just does this, or it sparingly is going to be better than liberally in this case.
Tara?
Just to kind of go off of what Aaron just said, if you're using full-on swear words, the sparingly, I think, is the best way to go. If you do want a character who is going to swear a lot, go the creative route with some different things. The pile of petticoats over there, or the, chicken flock or whatever, because it's going to be more entertaining than fuck, damn all the time.
I couldn't hear that. Could you say that one more time?
With that.
Because it's going to keep the reader more interested because of the creativity of it and the differentness of it.
Sure.
On a side note, we need to make that her ringtone. Now that we've got one for Michael, that's going to be hers.
We're going to have greatest hits.
Tempe?
Well, fuckity fuck, I write like I speak. That's what you get.
Hickory dickory dock.
Hickory dickory zippity freaking doodah.
And there's a place for it all. Just use it effectively as a writer. There are times writers will write using all these big words, and instead of it being educational, interesting, or engaging, your reader will just roll their eyes and go, they're just trying to impress somebody, and it's not me, I'm bored now. The same thing goes for swearing. Use it correctly. The other thing I want to do before we hit the top of the hour is I want to let everybody know, with the coronavirus and everybody being isolated, Audible has a lot of free books aimed towards children. Now, I say aimed towards children, I almost want to air quote that for you, because we are also talking a lot of the classics, Alice in Wonderland, Robinson Crusoe, Call of the Wild, and some of these, for example, Alice in Wonderland, narrated by Scarlett Johansson. They've got some great voice talent out there, and they have some regular voice talent who we like but never really know who they are. Check that out. It is available to everyone. You don't have to show your kindergarten card. Tempe, were you raising your hand to say something?
I was just going to say a lot of writers have dropped their prices of their books, including me, the first one, A Timely Revolution, to 99 cents on Amazon if you're doing the ebook. And I've actually put mine on the Kindle Unlimited program for the next 3 months. So if you're part of that program, you can go pull it up and read it for free, the first book. But a lot of writers, especially self-published writers, have dropped those so people can pick them up and have something to do while they're at home.
Very good. I've left mine at full price, which means you can still read them for full price. Whether you're at home or in your neighbor's bushes, I don't care. It's
While you're in your neighbor's bushes staring at them at home.
That's right. Okay, guys, real quick, I want to.
Actively swearing, yeah.
We're going to go around and reintroduce ourselves for anybody else who has just joined us. But first, as I'm reintroducing myself, I want to say I tried something else a little different today. I've never tried this whiskey. It's called Old Smoky Tennessee Whiskey.
Oh, very nice.
It's a salty caramel whiskey. And wow, very good. It really does have a lovely caramel taste where I was worried about it being a little sickly, too sweet. Not bad at all. It's a pleasant change, especially for probably just after dinner, after having something sweet, where your regular bourbon or whiskey would be just a little too and harsh and pull you away from it. This would blend well with really pecan pie, pumpkin pie, even chocolate cake would go wonderful.
Now I'm hungry.
So anyhow, I'm Travis, and I am the author of Silver and Smith, which is currently being edited, and I will be shopping agents for the first time ever and see if I have a good experience like some friends, or the experience I've heard from other people, not just Tempe, but other writers also. And welcome to Write Night. We do this every Saturday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. at twitch.tv/Talk of the Tavern. And if you want to catch it afterwards on, I don't know, a dozen different podcast streaming services. Now, Tara, can I start with you, please? Just reintroduce yourself, quick, short, to the point.
I'm Tara Moore. I am Dreamer-in-Chief, i.e. editor, at Dreampunk Press. And unfortunately, we haven't dropped our prices for any of our ebooks either. But check us out. We do have some good stuff and a lot of ebooks available.
Very good. Tempe?
I am Tempe Wade. I'm the author of the Timely Revolution book series, a continuous Revolutionary War time travel adventure. Books 1 through 4 are out. Books 5 and 6 will be out soon. Books 7 and 8 will be out next year, and I'm still writing.
Very good. Aaron?
Hi, my name is Aaron Kennedy. I am the author of Ships of Valor, Book 1, Persona Non Grata. Also a technical writer, and I can be found under my own name on there in relation to military leadership and physical fitness. I've got a few articles out on that.
Very good. And then the pretty one of the group, Michael.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Thompson. I'm an author and an illustrator. My latest book is Chicken Boy and the Might of the Monkey Man, the 4th book in the Chicken Boy series. The series that started it all for me when I first started self-publishing. And on my website, I put up some free Chicken Boy activities, some coloring sheets, and a create your own superhero activity if you're looking to keep your young ones active and creative during the quarantine.
Locked in the room with a sandwich and a coloring book. I do want to encourage everybody else. Don't forget, these authors that Aaron is posting links for, they all have social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or one of the other dozen of places. And especially remember, some of them stream on their own, some of them have Patreon or other ways to support them. Please feel free to consider following it and interacting, because every time you interact with somebody on social media, it improves the algorithm for other people seeing that content. Just like a review. And if you guys do go find some of these good folks' free books online or 99-cent books, give them a review. Those reviews make a big difference to us. If not to crushing our souls, then at least to the algorithm of wherever your book is and getting you more recognition out there. So thank you for that, and thank you for coming here to Write Night and hanging out with us. Let's actually talk about some writing stuff, because I'm tired of pimping our shit. There we go. That's right. Which I think everybody here is that way except for Michael. He's a marketing genius. And speaking of marketing, in our technical hour, our second hour, we are going to be discussing judging by covers. These are not the blankets that we walk in on and we see covering somebody going, hey, you look hot under that. Double meaning. So now I'm talking about a book cover, whether it's digital, and we'll talk about that and the way to do that to make it actually be able to be judged, or held in their hand. And just to open up the topic, I want to talk about titles, fonts of titles, which we discussed last week, but could definitely discuss again now, colors, and all the things that go into a cover overall, including the spine, the back cover, etc. Who's got something exciting they want to just blurt out right now? Raise a hand, wave at me, or shout.
Well,
Aaron.
quick one, friggin' make sure your book is titled correctly, or friggin' it's gonna draw somebody in. I was smart. I did the Ships of Valor, which is the book series, above the actual title. But persona non grata is not a common phrase. It means somebody that's not welcome in a country anymore. It captures the name. It captures the book, but I'm sure I could have come up with a better book title on that one. And I know, Travis, you've got your own things with the Downfall and the Harbinger side of things.
Right,
as well.
I definitely pick on my own titles that I've used in the past. Here's what I'll tell you about titles, guys. A title is the shortest description of your whole book you can give. It is your mini blurb. It is your 3 to 5 word elevator pitch. That title should essentially be the boiled down essence of your book. Unless you're so well known you can put shit on your cover and people still pick it up for the scratch and sniff effect.
We said we weren't going to make fun of Tempe. No.
Our successful one.
I struggle with book titles. It's hard for me to come up. And Tara will tell you, I'll send her just book 1, 2, 3, 4 because I don't have a title for it. And with this one, like the Timely Revolution, this second one is named More because this was supposed to be one book, and it needed to just continue. I needed to split it somewhere, so I just said it's more.
Can I suggest this? Next time you need a book title, get yourself a reasonable blurb and a bit from that book you can read. Let us know this is what you want to do for the creative hour. We will listen to you, we will dialogue with you, and we will brainstorm for titles for you on air.
I'm actually looking at cover art for book 5 right now. So we're getting ready to get started on that with the artist.
What's its title?
Yeah.
Book 5.
I gave it a working title. Book 5. I gave it a working title, but I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with it, Tara. I don't know how far you've gotten with it. But I named it In This Life or the Next. But I don't know if I'm not going to stick with it or not.
Well, like I said, if we can help. Now, on the other hand, you might be like, I don't want your idiot's input on this one. But, yeah, you're welcome to. We will take a whole hour and brainstorm for titles for you. What I was going to say about my series, The Downfall, I think The Downfall is a reasonable series title. Hold on, cat scratching. But Harbinger, I guess in conjunction with The Downfall, it tells you this is what comes before. This is what's leading. This hints at what's coming. But if you just hear the word Harbinger without the series title, you have no clue what that book is about. And also, The Downfall Harbinger doesn't tell you what era it is, what type of thing. It's a horrible title.
Well, there was a comic series called Harbinger. It was when we started getting the indie comics up back in the 80s. And I never picked it up because I never knew what it was actually about.
Right. So what about you guys with your titles? Have you done it right, or have you learned? Are you doing it differently now, or?
Well, go ahead, Mike.
Oh yeah, titles are very important. I noticed something about mine that for the novels that there's like this slight, subtle slant rhyme in there. Your mouth is at least held in the same place when you say them, like
World of the Orb
and Winslow Hoffner's Incredible Encounters. So I was like, oh, what a happy accident.
And Chicken Boy?
Chicken Boy, I don't think Chicken Boy rhymes, but I did do a lot of alliteration.
But rattle off the titles.
Chicken Boy, The Fight of the Ferocious Flowers.
Yeah.
Right.
So
actually, I have to say, Mike, out of all of us, kind of did
does things right.
Best job in the essence of what we're getting at. Can there be improvement? Hell yeah, there could be improvement in every single thing we do, and it also depends, like a stand-up comic, what crowd you're talking to. Here's how you angle it. Whose attention you want, who you want to like you, who you want to hate you. Tara, as an editor, I want to turn to you real quick and go, and?
I hate titles.
Why?
almost as bad as I hate back of the book blurb.
Now, as a writer or editor, you hate titles.
Same.
Both. I think when you... So the first book that Dreampunk Press published is Downfire Heritage. And it was initially supposed to be going to be a standalone book, and it turned into what is right now a trilogy, with Downfire in each title.
Yeah.
And for the people, when they come along in person and know what a Downfire is, it's great. Because they take one look at it, they go, ooh, they pick up the back of the book, they read the blurb, they ask some questions, and about 50% of the time, I make a sale. Most of them are looking for something a little more horrorish than what it is, because it's YA. But for anybody that has no clue what a Dompire is, they bypass it. And they, sometimes you'll get the, well, what's a Dompire? And before I can get the explanation out, they're gone. So when you're looking at it, I mean, Dompire is very much what the character is. They're basically, they have vampires in their ancestry. So they are literally a Dompire in some ways, but then, but again, unless your audience knows what it is, it can be lost on them.
Well, I mean, that could also be part of the targeted audience piece, though, too, if you're looking for people that do know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you have something like steampunk, that works, but I think Dompire is too vague.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Tara, let me ask you this. If you don't mind me trying to help your sales and improve your work, could you add a series title and something, for example, it might not be perfect, work with me on this. If you went in and added on your cover and in the description, the Half-Blood Vampire series. Now you have a direct, because remember, not only should your title boil it down and tell everybody what exactly is in your series, some of us want to be creative, so giving your series a very blandish or blunt title. For example, Ships of Valor. Very bland, very blunt, to the point. Do you think something like that would help you? And like I said, Half-Blood Vampire might be the wrong turn of phrase with this, but you get the gist of what I'm pointing at there.
I've tried to brainstorm like a series title for it. Just haven't come up with anything yet.
Vampire's Descendants.
So.
Vampire's Heritage.
I kind of think this is funny because, coming from the technical side, I don't write my own titles. My editor does. And Tara over here would be my editor on this, looking at these things going, okay, this is what I got out of it. This is the gist. And I'm hearing her go, oh, yeah, no, I hate these. I hate doing these.
Yeah.
The blurbs and the abstracts.
So, to be honest with everyone, Dompire here, E.G. Gaddis is my pen name.
Right.
And so those were mine, and I hate it when it's mine because it's so hard. I think you're so close to when it's yours, which is why I hand it over, and Morven does my back of the book blurbs now. And does an absolutely wonderful job at that, and also helps a lot with my titles now. I'm able to help, I think, Morven with theirs a little bit better, simply because there's that distance, and I get to act as an editor. But yeah, it's different. It's hard, and different editors have different talents in some ways. I'm much better at coming up with a tagline than I am for a title.
May I throw some more of my own opinion in? I've been doing Talk of the Tavern for going on 8 years now. 7.5 years. I've been writing for about that same amount of time. And in between that, I have been a newspaper writer, who usually the editor makes up the titles. But for some of the things, I would make up my own titles. Here's what I'm going to tell you that I have learned. And if you look through the history of not just my books, but my newspaper articles, of my show titles, your book title should be as inflammatory and make people want to read it as any newspaper headline. It is the headline of your article. It should be clickbait. And if you get in your head to make your title into clickbait, where, yeah, it gives an essence of what your book's about, but it makes somebody go, wait, what? Let me take a second look at that. This, whether you're good at title making or not, I think this puts you in the right mindset of this is what you're aiming for. We all want to be creative because we're creative people. We all want to point at what our actual essence is about. But the bottom line is, if you don't have a title that makes somebody, or a cover that makes somebody pick it up and look at it, nobody will ever know what's inside. So sacrifice this for the sake of merchandising and capitalism and create that clickbait title, that cheap gimmick. Sorry, Cat loves the mic. And the microphone, too. So, yeah, this is something I've learned. Whether you're doing a blog post, whether you're doing a book title, or whether you're doing Write Night, you guys watched me go, our actual topic tonight is creative, or actually, what was the first thing I said? Swear words, or creative cussing, or something like that. It wasn't what I have up there right now, and it wasn't creative curses, it was like making up swear words or something. I don't know. It's very bland, very plain and to the point, and specific. And then the second hour...
new curse words.
New curse words. That's what it was. Thank you, Aaron. And the other one was titles and covers, or covers and titles. I think it was covers and titles. And then as the day went on, I went, wait, a better way to say this that's more suggestive of more things and more captivating and a little alliteration. We now have creative curses. And then judging by covers, which is a interesting thing because we all know the don't judge a book by its cover. So
we also know a picture paints 1,000 words.
Right. Yeah. Which could have been another reasonable title, except I have to make it concise enough to fit within a podcast. When somebody looks at their phone to download a podcast, they can see the whole topic. So this is one more challenge in this, which as authors, we should consider. The shorter the title, it captures the essence with clickbait level of interest, the better. These 12-word titles that, I don't know about you guys, but man, I would so put a fucking sentence on my cover if I could. This is why those taglines were like, give me tagline.
Well, I mean, on that note, friggin' when we came up with the show, Write Night, you had another alternative title to it, and I don't even remember what it was.
Doesn't matter. Here's to Tracy for suggesting Write Night. That's Mike's mother suggested Write Night, and I heard it. I went, yeah, I like it. I'm going to debate, because these guys here, when we first discussed it, I went, oh no, don't start advertising yet. Hold on, wait for it. I need a couple weeks, and it was like 3 weeks out, because I'm like, you need the time to consider it and boil down that essence, and the same for your working title and your blurb. Tara, back me up on this one. When you write your blurb, you might not have a single beta reader, but everybody can read a paragraph. Listen to every single criticism, positive or negative, about that blurb. Aw, thank you, Tracy. Who came up with Write Night?
Tracy is here. X100.
That blurb makes them open the book after picking it up from your cover and title. That blurb needs to be the most interesting. Stop putting all 5 character names in it. Stop putting the name of the countries in there. Stop putting your racial names. Give them that movie trailer narration. 3 people lost in a world. Death and destruction of bananas inserted into orifices. Dun dun dun! Chainsaw! I don't know. Whatever it is. Yeah. That first chapter will set the scene. You're writing a trailer, folks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So between title and writing the blurb, which is your trailer, Mike, you're good at the titles. Let's pass this to you, and then jump over to Tempe, who's, by her own announcement, horrible at titles, but maybe blurb. She said she hated that too. And work in this new stuff. Go ahead.
I think literally between the title and the blurb, the spine of the book is really important, especially for bookstores, because in a lot of cases, only the spine is ever going to show. So if you're designing your cover, if you're having someone design your cover, make sure to show the spine a lot of love, and have it be high contrast and bold.
That's a great
Well,
advice. And
yeah.
don't make it one color with another color on top. A plain
Exactly.
spine bores me and my eyes glaze over it. Whereas if there is part of an image that is captivating, it makes me go, wait, what? And it
Yeah.
actually. Mike, go on.
I mean, that's a straight up logistical business concern there
Yeah.
because bookstores stack them left to right or right to left, but you don't
Exactly.
see the front covers because it takes up too much space. I mean, unless you're doing Game of Thrones where the front cover is narrower than the side.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Yeah.
I always find it rather impressive when a book is beefy enough to put its title horizontally on the cover.
Robert Jordan.
I'm like, wow. That's really impressive. Maybe one day I'll have a World of the Orb that's big enough to put because the next books, and World of the Orb will be a series. It'll be World of the Orb, colon, and then the next
Right.
the next part of the name. So I think I'm gonna put World of the Orb in a little horizontally small, and then larger going down the length of the spine will be the subtitle. So
Now, something else to consider, and I'm about to shift topics again, but I want to give everybody else a chance to talk about the title, the spine, the blurb. But something else to consider is we don't have. Hold on, I'll move the wet wipes. We don't have this to give people anymore. We have this to give people now. So when you're creating, and actually this is a reasonable comparison and example right here, even when it's the size of a postage stamp on your screen, you
Yep.
can see some kind of American flag and big, bold words. That's a
Yep.
reasonable front cover. Whereas, and actually Mike's is actually really good too. Nice and plain and simple. Conveys it apart. You get the whole it's a really crystal ball. That's the word I wanted. You get the image of magic, World of the Orb. You get fantasy because it's a world, and so yeah, that's actually really good. I'm going to use Tempe. I don't know if Tempe is here and watching, but this here, once it's on a digital thing, it loses something. Now, in your hand, it's very nice, but when you're looking at that digitally, you lose the imagery you want.
Why are you using me for that?
No, not you.
Yeah, you.
Did I say? I said I meant Toei. I'm sorry. Talking
I
Toei.
mean, that goes to a point of
Yes.
This is reasonable for a digital image the size of a postage stamp, but if you pull up my book, Harbinger, book 1 of the Downfall series, there's just so much detail on there you can't tell what's going on unless if you're holding it in your hand. So that's a huge consideration.
Well, I mean, that goes to the point of your images don't have to match across media. Your book image can be one thing, your ebook image can be another thing, your audiobook can be another thing. And we talked a little bit about that last
But you're
week, where you gotta
screwing
make
your
sure that-
branding at that point.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, but you're right. You can differ them if you want. But what I recommend is you have one primary thing. For example, let's use Mike.
Oh.
World of the Orb. You've got the magenta crystal ball on the stand. So when you're in an ebook, that's a great big image. But if you're putting it on a book cover, a physical book cover, yeah, sure, maybe it could be a third of the cover and just prominent in the image. Whereas an audio book, I don't know. Yeah, you can switch around, but I really recommend you make something that connects them immediately in people's minds.
Thematically similar.
Right.
yeah,
But I mean, and that goes also to the tailored audience thing, though, I think. Because not necessarily the people that are listening to the audiobooks are going to be looking for the same thing that we're looking for on the physical book side. What kind of, and this gets way into the marketing side, but what are they looking for versus people that are like, oh, I have a 2-hour commute every day, I just turn on my book and I go.
Here's what I'm going to
Yeah.
recommend for any writer. If you want to figure out a good book cover and you've never done one, Go Google movies from the past 5 years that were successful in your genre. Not books, movies. Look at the movie poster. Star Wars has ridiculous posters. They do it wrong.
Yep.
Because you have to be up on it to appreciate it, which is very 1980s of them.
Yeah.
Whereas other ones, a lot of the Marvel movies, beautifully done. Concise, even when they have all the characters slapped up there. So, okay,
In
Tara,
their case,
Go.
the characters having a character collage is actually pretty marketable because those characters are so recognizable, and then
Right.
you can tell who is the most marketable based on which character is the biggest. And what's interesting is in different countries, different characters are bigger.
right?
So I think in America, the last Avengers film, Captain America was just slightly larger than Iron Man, but I think.
He's got a bigger profile, but Iron Man's head's bigger.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah, no,
truth in
there's-
marketing.
Yeah. But different things. It's interesting because different things get pushed in different countries. It's neat looking at different countries how they market the same IP.
It's a fair point. Fair point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that goes to Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is kind of more popular in the U.S., but in the Scandinavian countries, Donald Duck is huge. He's actually the biggest Disney character, period.
Interesting.
But he's not the trademark.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, Tara, Tempe, Aaron, I've given Mike a little chance to talk, and then I really just grabbed it away from all of you and said, I have my opinions. I'm going to spill them. So my apologies, guys. I'd really love to hear from some of you guys, because one reason I brought you guys together is because I can learn from each one of you. I'm just excited to think I know something for the minute. So, yeah, let's covers, spines, blurbs, and then different marketing approaches from in-hand to electronic. Who's got some thoughts here, please?
I got one.
Or Tara first.
Go ahead, Tempe.
Or Tempe, I'm sorry.
Or like, if you're doing a series, make sure that you put on there somewhere like what number book it is in the series, and I always make sure I list that in my Amazon titles and everything. So, and I've actually got Amazon to group them together. Like, right now I've got 4 out, so they have a group bundle where you could just go in and buy the whole thing at one time.
How'd you set that up? You tell me off air how you set that up, because I'm curious about that for down the road for me.
Well, actually, they just did it. They did it for me,
On
and
their
then I
own?
just called them to add it in, and that's all they did.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a fluke thing that showed up, and I just kind of ran with it. So.
Okay.
Nice.
And you make money off it. It's not somebody else who stole your work and put it together into one.
No. It's mine.
I do want to point out to anybody, I am not about pointing fingers and making accusations, but the reason coronavirus started in China is because they stole all our books. Okay, don't piss off the writers. Just saying. Copyright laws. Anyhow, Tempe, do you have more to say on this? Because that's very true, by the way. I hate when I'm like, oh, I want to go read The Expanse. And I'm like, what's book 1? What's book 3? I didn't even know they had 9 books, or they have 8 and they're working on it. And they're like, Tempe, but they took 10 years to do it.
Yeah. Like I said, I suck at titles and the back covers and all of that stuff. The only thing I've succeeded, I felt like, in was having the symbol done, and then I've had it put on the rest of the book, so I've got that consistency as I go forward with it. So,
No,
and that symbol is on every book cover from 2 on.
I think your covers are reasonable, and I tell you what, I like your covers better than, and I'm going to use the term romance here, because your books do fall somewhere along the lines of that. I would rather see what you have right there, because it gives more than just, it's a big bare-chested man supporting some poor defenseless woman.
Not that we're not interested in
Yeah,
that, but
yeah, absolutely, and that is a very valid thing. Whether your books have the strong female character or the alpha male or whatever, but there's more to it than just that.
Yeah, and that's not the main theme in my books. The main theme through my books, it's more about like love of family and friends than it is you know, there's couple romance there all through it, but it basically boils down to, you know, love of family and friends and what you will do to help protect them and take care of them.
So, Tara, with everything that we've had so far, I've thrown a few ideas of give your books a series title. I've mentioned, think of it as a clickbait newspaper headline, the blurb as a movie trailer. With all this thrown at you right now, how do you feel about the titles and the blurb? Is it changing anything, or do you still have a formula that you're like, nope, I like how I do it like this?
Considering, you know, we do it different for pretty much every book.
True.
Because, you know, we're still figuring things out at Dreampunk Press. One of the things that we did that kind of worked initially for Vampire Heritage, and again, remember, this was published in 2012.
Right.
And Twilight was big at that time by Stephanie Meyer. And it was actually kind of in the same genre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's vampires, there's teen romance in it, only it's set in Victorian times instead of modern day. And again, my vampires don't sparkle. But, which I really, really should have put on the frickin' book. But one of the things that Morven had done is the cover, that first cover of the Twilight series had that apple on it. And so the cover of Vampire Heritage, in order to garner or to gain the interest of the same audience, had the hands with the pear. And the pear actually is a visual that's in the book. It starts that way and it finishes with a pear image. And it actually worked to get people to pick it up the book, and they would read it, and then they would slam us me in the review because they're like, this was nothing like Twilight. And it's like, well, no, it's not Twilight. There was similar enough that we kind of, like I said, we didn't steal the image, but we stole a little bit of the
more of an anti-image.
The theme,
the composition of it, and enough to. But I guess that they wanted the vampire to be the hero, and no, mine were the bad guys. That's something you can do. You just have to know, and I think it helped with, you know, initial book sales for that first book. And then as soon as somebody said, oh, I want Edwin's story too, and I wrote the second book, again, it's hard to put book one on your first book when you didn't know there was going to be a book 2 or a book 3.
Right.
We do have that now because we redid and updated the covers. But there's things that you can do that can work, but then what you find is that they kind of backfire in another way. And so you kind of almost have to throw out all the things that could happen if you follow a particular tactic in putting a cover together. Yep.
I would also recommend for new writers, don't put book 1 on book 1.
Correct.
Unless if you're going to complete writing book 2 before you publish book 1. Because I've seen so many authors write book 1 and never put out book 2.
Yep.
And I want to
that would
say...
be me.
Well, I think it's me also with Harbinger. I'm trying to remember. I think it might just say The Downfall Harbinger. It might not say book 1. I don't remember, actually, and I don't have one here next to me. Oh, Mike is checking his. So, yeah, that might be me pointing fingers at myself right now.
Oh, it says book 1.
There we go. See, now there is a book 2 that I'm looking at doing at the end of the year because I had always intended to write it. But here we are with a 6-year gap. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's 2016 for that 4-year gap. And I'm not George R.R. Martin. So, you know, it's...
You have a much better mustache.
Yes.
I like your back cover, Travis.
How's the blurb? And how's the spine?
If you don't have anything nice, don't say anything at all.
No,
I'm joking.
Yeah, not with writers. It's watch them cry because we're sensitive little fuckers.
Stroke our egos.
Well, I mean, something that everybody's kind of hit on your cover isn't set in stone. I mean, yes, you pay
Fair
for
point.
it.
Yeah, as an independent author, you can change it.
Yeah.
Which is great. You can go back, and if you own the rights to the cover image and then the fonts themselves, you can just go in there and update it. That's a really cool part about Amazon. You just pop in there and, oh, I didn't like this, I'm removing it. Or update it. Yeah, sure, there's still books that are out there, but it's kind of cool that, oh, okay, this didn't work. Let's remarket it as something else. How many times have we heard of a movie that was going to be called this and then was changed to something else?
Edge of Tomorrow.
Well, they still had Edge of Tomorrow because they did all the advertising in advance, and then they kind of subtitled that as it got closer to release date.
Harlequin.
Harlequin
movie.
Harlequin, yeah.
It was
Birds
a
of
sentence, which I liked.
Fabulous
Right.
emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Right.
And they turned it into Harley Quinn Birds of Prey.
Well, they have the other stuff. It's all still in there, but they started just marketing it, as you just said, Michael.
I think that's smarter, yeah.
And that is something to consider until you... And that what they thought is... I was about to say, until you're Stephen King or George R. R. Martin. And that's true, but Harlequin is Harlequin. She's not far from that level. She's no Batman or no Joker, but she's not too much below them. But to throw her at the end of a title was not the way to do it. Even though comic book readers would go, I get it. I'm worldly and I understand what you're doing. But, yeah, it's not the way to market a movie.
I told you not to friggin' imitate me like that anymore.
John, you have a good night. Drive safe. Thank you for popping in. Speaking of comics, John publishes comics as well as runs a comic store, and we're going to have him on at some point in time. He's done covers for... No, Tara's done covers for... No, they've done covers for each other. They've worked with each other.
Yeah.
Look at him go there. Way to go. So, it's a great community. We're building together. All of us, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and not just when I say all of us, I don't just mean us five. For the viewers out there, for the people listening on the podcast later, all of us. The reason we're doing this is because we love what we do and we want other people to be able to do it. So, and that's why we have a live show instead of a pre-recorded show with no audience. That and so we can
That
have.
way we can't get food either.
That's right. That's right. It's a
Hey, what does a sheep with no lips say? Tara's already trying not to die.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Her Scottish roots are kicking in right now. Have you ever seen the sheep do that thing with her tongue, Tara?
Oh, wait.
She almost did it right there, I think.
No, but tell me more.
Okay. So, who else has some thoughts on the title, spine, cover, blurb? Aaron, you raised your hand. You had a couple thoughts, I think.
Well, the big thing that I ran into is when I did Persona Non Grata, it had a working title all the way till the end. It was Lest We Become, short for Lest We Become Monsters. But it didn't quite capture the theme, whereas Persona Non Grata, it was a throwaway phrase inside the book, and if you're familiar with the phrase, it makes perfect sense. If you're not, it's a crap title, which I admit to freely. And it's one of those, okay, Persona Non Grata was better than Lest We Become, but I mean, Tempe says her working titles are Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, Books 43.
I don't know, I'm kind of...
That's the only way I can find them in my files. If I don't mark them that way, I can't find them.
Mine are marked that way as well. It's Ships of Valor number 1, Ships of Valor number 2, and all that.
Mine are marked that way also, but then with the extra title in addition. Tara can... Because when I send her the final edit, not only does it have that title, that's the title I put in the email, Book 1 such series working title. By the way, Silver and Smith will not have numbers because I feel like those could really be read in any order. Portals, on the other hand, the way characters come and go in a very succinct order, those I'm going to number.
What was it? Young Indiana Jones Adventures. Remember the TV show from the 90s where he would do flashbacks to different periods, so you could watch the season in any order because it didn't make any difference.
Right.
Right. Which that was an underrated series, but it was also one of those series that I think Lucas tried to put too much brains into and not enough fun.
Mm.
Yeah, because he had the old guy who's your friggin' narrative anchor,
Right.
and then you had the young kid version of Indy, and then you had the teenager version of Indy. The teenager version of Indy was so much more interesting than the young version.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. I think you should have cut out the 8-year-old and made him at least preteen, if not teen, the whole time. Because it's as an 8-year-old, you're not really you're not proactive.
No.
And as a teenager, you're rebellious, you're pulling away, etc. And that's just you're not being rushed along with the tide. You actually can swim a little. So, does anybody have any other things to say, or shall I throw a new thing into the mix here?
Please.
I think for covers, you want to hone in on whatever the most marketable part of the book is.
I haven't
it's like
thought
a
on that.
hook.
Go on.
Tell us how to do that, please.
No. I want to.
I'll tell you from my perspective with with World of the Orb, I was going to do one of those ridiculous. Originally, I wanted to do one of those ridiculous character collages, which wouldn't have been smart because I'm a big Star Wars geek, and that's what I think of. And I remember thinking at the time, I'm like, no one knows who my characters are yet, so popping a bunch of faces of people that potential readers don't know isn't going to help. So the hook of that book was just the orb, and I thought it might also kind of symbolic when you open up the book. It's like you're going into the orb, just like the characters do.
I hate that Mike is smarter than most of us.
Intuitively smart.
Yeah.
And for Winslow, I went through a couple I mental designs, and the first one was going to be Winslow himself, like with his foot up on a stool, like he poses sometimes. And then and he has lots of picture frames because he's a really sentimental guy. And then maybe I would hide the monsters in that. And then I'm not the best at drawing humans yet, so I shelved that. And then I was going to give it the orb treatment. And I have actually a version of the cover with that was just like really dark water, and then a ship's helm, and then a very prominent word art, which didn't look bad, and then like hidden in the ripples of the water was like a wreath of wiggly monsters, like almost like coming out of the ripples, and I drew that, and I was gonna put it on there because originally I didn't know. I thought I was like, okay, it could be a nice little like book, and that was at the time when I thought it was going to be a short story, a collection rather than a novella, and but then I was workshopping it, I was talking, and just the concept of just show the monsters because they're so interesting. And even though the book is mostly about Winslow and the characters and his relationships, the most interesting thing about the man is how he seems to attract and always be in the wrong place at the right time to see things that no one ever sees. I've got a great line in the sequel actually coming up, and I'll reveal this. I won't reveal the name of the sequel, but I will tell the listeners this line, which was Nell Dunny, who's the less than supportive editor of one of our main characters, John, and he's having a bit of a conniption, and he's usually a real slick guy, but he's having a conniption about the fact that the paper's constantly running stories on Winslow, and he's saying that he doesn't believe it, and he says this guy has a once in a lifetime experience. What, once a month? How's that even possible?
I actually enjoy that in TV series where they're like, oh, solved another mystery this week again, one a week.
Yeah, and it's good, like, when you have something unbelievable, it's cool to make the characters acknowledge how unbelievable it is, because then your reader latches onto it, and then it becomes more believable. And then I was remembering that for your Dompire heritage, I remember that the pair thing. I thought that was really clever, and I think you would call it kind of an homage, in a way. And with Winslow, I decided to when I wanted to show my monsters, when I honed in on that aspect as my visual hook, to show the potential readers, there was a lot of within the book references to Spielberg movies like Jaws, and so I looked at the Jaws poster, and so I arranged my monsters coming up vertically in a column of.
That's actually very smart because it does have that very Jaws feel.
Yeah.
A couple of things that I wanted to say, if I'm not interrupting anybody.
Go ahead.
Because I have talked a lot. By the way, Aaron, I think lest we become monsters, or lest monsters we become, however it's actually...
Lest we become.
No, well, I think adding monsters on there is better, and I'm wondering if you can use that in book 2, because that's a very reasonable title, I think.
Cool title. Haunting, interesting, mysterious.
And also a popular effort, like Michael's cover right there that looks like Jaws. This gives echoes of Shakespeare, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, see, and I was thinking about that as well, because when we're looking at his, you got kind of that Jaws theme going on, but artistically, it reminded me of the Myth series by Robert Asprin,
right?
Which kind of sets not only the plot but the tone of what's going on. You got this semi-comedic thing happening, but you've also got that imminent danger of Jaws.
Right.
So your book's doing it on twofold there, and again, we hate you because you are so intuitive on this stuff.
Yeah,
and we
really.
know you give it a lot of thought. But for us, you make it look so easy.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, man, because that now we can... I don't know about you guys. I love learning new shit. And when there's something that I know I want to know or need to know to help me get to this next point, to have somebody accessible to me. Even if you're, not skilled in other areas or not where I am in other areas, there's definitely a give and take in the conversation, and it's a beautiful thing. Michael, speaking of the give and take, I wanted to say, you were talking about book size. And since the vast majority, and Princess, give me a second, I'll read your comment here. Print size books are not necessarily the issue anymore. If you're writing epic fantasy, you want to write 180,000 plus words. Actually, 120,000 or up to 450,000, depending who you are and how much energy you have.
Mm-hmm.
But putting out a 60 to 75,000 word book or a novella such as Winston is a great thing right now because people love digestible chunks. Look at Netflix, any streaming service, podcast, etc. So as much as I love my 36-hour audiobook, other people are just really digging the 1 to 4 hour audiobooks because they feel accomplished. They did something. They covered it. They got it. So when it comes down to Tempe mentioning, oh, these two books were split into, or one book was split into two. In our current world, a 60,000 word novel is beautiful, and the pacing of the chapters to make people keep going, keep eating, is good stuff there. And that's something to consider when writing a book. What size do you want it? And this is the thing, as a new writer, I went, I'll write what I write. Sure, you can do that. And one day you'll realize you're running a business and maybe consider putting parameters on what you're writing. So my point is, when you write World of the Orb, Book 2, don't worry about making it thick enough to put it on the spine since most people are buying electronic. Right? Yeah.
That's true. I really don't think too hard. I think that would be cool. I'm thinking like if I do have the space, I'll do that. But
you could definitely go with a 20 font and double spacing though, so you get that.
It's always an option.
We discussed that last week.
Yeah, and Winslow is like 1.5 spacing, just because it was easier on the eyes and it was so dialogue driven that it's just like straight down.
That's I've looked at that book. It's not unreasonable for that one. I didn't pick it up and go, oh, somebody was cheating, as I've done where I have seen people do 16 font and 1.5 to double spacing, and I'm like, you just wanted a book that didn't look like a pamphlet. Stop.
Yeah.
You wrote a glorified short story. You didn't even hit novella, and you wanted it to feel like a reasonable, 1/3 to a 1/2 inch thick book.
Yeah.
Can I read Princess real quick, guys?
Oh yeah.
Because she wrote a small book right here anyway, so And Princess Ed is not mocking, just teasing. I had tons of ideas for my cover photo for my book. I originally wanted all the characters present on the book, but I didn't have an artist available at the time, and I needed to have something intriguing, but also vague to not give away too many details. I opted to take Polaroid photos, 2 for the front of the book and 2 for the back, with items that would symbolize the characters or what the ambience would be. I actually received a lot of praise for the idea using Polaroids rather than characters. I think that is a great idea, but here's what I'm going to tell you. You can't give away too much. Readers tend to be oblivious until later. They'll look back. And this is me as a reader, too, and I like to think I'm smart and observant. But I'll glance at a cover if it catches my interest, read the book, and then later look back going, wow, there's a lot of information on the cover I didn't even see because I just started reading a book. Guys?
Well, that goes back to your Star Wars poster comments.
Yeah.
When you can look back at the 1976 version of Star Wars, it's not really telling you anything other than, oh, okay, there's friggin' laser swords, gunfights, this big dark thing here, and it's not until after you've seen the movie you go, oh, okay, I got this. Now, that was appropriate for that
bit of a
era
collage
when you didn't have previews and trailers, but now
they had trailers. Oh my god. They just had that one guy who didn't have the cool voice yet.
Well, no, I mean, I listened to a podcast that had freaking Sean Pegg in it.
Nice.
And he talked about the excitement of seeing Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time blind. He walked into the movie and didn't have a preview for it. So he's trying to explain this movie to his mom after seeing it and is so excited.
By the way, that's how Andrea goes to watch movies. I'm like, you want to watch the trailer? She's like, no.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. Trailers give away too much sometimes.
Oh, I saw The Matrix that way. Went in blind.
That'd be a good one to see blind, yeah.
A lot of times the trailers have all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you go into the movie, there's nothing else there. And
that's true.
That's what I wanted to argue with Mike about. Mike's like, put the most marketable moment of your book on your cover. And this is where I want to disagree, potentially disagree. Never, for me, as a reader, I hate when the climax of the book is on your cover. Don't give me the climax on your cover. Especially if it's erotica, please. And moving on from that.
Please.
No, seriously, I don't want to see that final battle or final
I wasn't
scene.
talking about see. I was talking about feel.
Oh, it burns my eyes! I don't want that in the... See, cold brew pop back for that. No lurking for that comment. Yeah, I hate a climax on the cover. I want the kind of... Actually, what I want is your first plot point. I want, like, the decisive moment to the plot point. So you're looking at somewhere between 12 and 23%, 33% in at the most. And anybody that's worked with a beat sheet or
Highlight of
talked...
the first act?
Yes. Yes, highlight of the first act, or at least what triggers the action in the second act leading to the halfway point. If you've gone past that halfway point for your cover image, for me, which, by the way, Mike, you might be right. This might be one of those things 2 years from now, I'm like, yeah, just use the climax. It's marketable. And maybe I should listen to what you're saying, because you're good at this.
Well, for Winslow, the cover, that doesn't happen in the book.
Right.
It's a collage of all the monsters. So as soon as you get a couple chapters in, like there's and some of these it's impossible because some of them are freshwater, but it's a little bit more abstract.
Well, maybe it's brackish.
Yeah, brackish.
Cryptozoology, Mike.
Yeah,
That's true.
Man,
Thanks for sticking to realism on this one.
Cryptozoology show one day. Whether it's this show or something else.
We've done 2 of those on Talk of the Tavern.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Have me on sometime.
Yeah,
I will
well,
geek out.
what I think we'll do is either A, yes, absolutely have you on, or there is no reason at some point in time I shouldn't write down. Aaron, you have your list of other things I need to write down for topics?
I've got all kinds of
Will
lists,
you
yes.
scribble down cryptozoology? Let's make that one of the creative topics
Yeah.
one day.
Got it.
Because it's a whole new point of view from a whole new group of people, so that needs... Now, we have 5 minutes till we wrap up the show. I want to get some closing thoughts here, then I want to get some goofy-ass bullshit for the last couple minutes before I play our closing music. So, Mike, what we're looking at, the topic I'm playing with is judging by covers. What's your final word, thoughts, or advice?
My final word is, in this case, as a writer or as the creator of the book, think about it as a reader. Lots of times when we as writers read, we think about it as writers, but think about it as a potential reader. Try to go to a mental place where you don't know anything about your own work, and create something that you just think is cool and that looks like it belongs on the shelf, or looks like it belongs on specifically your bookshelf. So try and create something that in your mind raises questions and has a visual hook, and go from there.
If I can suggest this, building on what Mike just said, sometimes it's hard to step away from our own work. It's hard to hand it to our editor or our writer friends that have heard you along your creative process. But you can throw it up on social media before you finalize the cover and go, what's this make you think of? Don't go, what do you think of my next book cover? What's this make you think of? What kind of reaction do you get from this? Okay, Tara, closing thoughts, advice.
Go to Barnes & Noble, go to the shelves where your book would be. Just walk down and see what catches your eye, pick it up, and take a picture of it with your phone. Then put it back, keep going. What's the next one that catches your eye in the genre that you are writing in, that you're looking at making that cover? And again, whip out your phone, take a picture of it. And then when you go home, take a look at all those pictures and look at what is it that caught your eye? Are they all bright colors? Are they all illustrated by photo? What is it? And then pick a couple of those things out and then play with those for your cover.
And I'll add to what Tara just said there and then go do the same goddamn thing on Amazon.
Yeah.
On Amazon, because Amazon's already ranking stuff for you, whereas at the bookstore, it really is you and what's catching your eye by what Amazon is sticking in front of you.
Very fair point. Very agreeable with that. The reason I mention Amazon is check the difference between what sells electronically. And by the way, when I say Amazon, go to Books A Million, go to BarnesandNoble.com, go to Google sci-fi book covers, whatever. Go somewhere electronically and see what catches your eye, and see if there's a difference between what catches it in a paperback or hardback versus online. Aaron?
Big thing I had was your cover. It's an investment, and it's got to fulfill a specific purpose to sell your book. So periodically just reassess and go, okay, is it doing that? And if it's not, be willing to change the damn thing. Using Mike as an example, because he's got a gorgeous, beautiful cover.
Thank you.
The themes or not the themes, the audience may change. Different people you're gonna want to try to capture a different audience, and that might not be the right cover for that section. So why not put a new cover on it? Other than the time investment he's got in it.
And financial. Yeah. Tempe?
Keep it clean, keep it sleek, keep it readable. Make sure your fonts are good. Like I said, make sure you can see it in that square on Amazon. That it catches your eye. Actually, you know what? If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'll probably throw up some cover ideas for the next book, since I'm kind of in that part right now. So if you want to follow me and help me out, trying to maybe make some decisions.
Okay, who wouldn't want to help Tempe out, guys? So yeah, please follow her. Make sure her Instagram, Tempe, put your Instagram up there so people can follow you.
Thank you, Aaron.
To build on that, guys, less can be more. To build on what Aaron said, this is a business. Look at successful business models. That doesn't mean George R.R. Martin. He has name brand recognition. His covers could literally be a pile of shit with a sword stuck in it, and we're going to pick it up because suddenly we're interested. What, Aaron?
I believe that was book 6.
It might be, yeah. So keep that in mind. It's a business. You're branding. It's important. And this is where you have to think with your logical brain instead of your emotions. Write with those emotions, edit with the logical brain, brand, I don't know, with your asshole. It's something besides all the other stuff we use to do all this stuff. Guys, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for joining us. We're out of here. Here's some closing music.
Thank you for joining author Travis I. Sivart and the other writers, content creators, and all-around amazing people for our discussion here on Write Night. Join us again soon, and until you do, make sure you create with passion, enjoy the journey, and remember, every night can be right night.
Don't forget to join us on the podcast if you joined us live and you missed part of it. And don't forget to join us live if you're on the podcast. Twitch.tv/Travis Tavern Talk.